Anna? The girl repeated, her voice stronger now. My name is Anna. She remained pressed against the backseat floor, watching them with wary eyes. Her dark hair was matted with sweat and dirt, her thin face pale beneath smudges of grime. The makeshift bandage on her arm had bled through, a rusty stain spreading across the fabric. I'm Lívia, the nurse said gently. This is Rafael. We're not going to hurt you. Rafael slowly lowered the rifle, though he kept it within reach. How long have you been hiding back there? Since yesterday, Anna replied. Jonas was taking care of me. When he heard you coming, he told me to hide under the blanket, said to stay quiet no matter what happened. You knew Jonas? Lívia asked, the realization dawning that this must be the injured girl Jonas had mentioned to Michael, the one who'd been at the gas station post when Rafael and Lívia had arrived. Anna nodded, her eyes suddenly glassy with tears she refused to let fall. He found me a week ago. I was hiding in an old store when the infected came. He got me out, took me to the garage. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Is he? Lívia and Rafael exchanged a glance. There was no gentle way to deliver the news. Jonas didn't make it, Rafael said, his voice steady but kind. He stayed behind to give us a chance to escape. Without him, none of us would have made it out. A single tear escaped, tracking down the girl's dirty cheek. She wiped it away roughly with the back of her hand. He was a good man. Didn't have to help me, but he did. He helped us too, Lívia said. And now we want to help you. She gestured to the blood-stained bandage. Can I take a look at your arm? Anna hesitated, then nodded, slowly extending her injured arm. As Lívia unwrapped the bandage, Rafael started the car again, pulling back onto the road. They needed to put more distance between themselves and the crows, who might still be in pursuit. Where are we going? Anna asked, wincing as Lívia peeled away the final layer of gauze, revealing an angry laceration about 4 inches long. North, Rafael answered, eyes on the road. Jonas mentioned a settlement in the mountains. People rebuilding. Have you heard of it? The Haven, Anna said, surprising them both. That's what Jonas called it. Said people were growing food there, had electricity. He was planning to take me there after... She swallowed hard. After I got better. Lívia examined the wound carefully. It was deep but clean, no signs of the terrible infection that turned people. Jonas had done a decent job treating it, though it needed fresh bandages and probably stitches. This looks like it was made by something sharp, Lívia observed. How did it happen? Anna's expression darkened. Crows. Different group from the ones back there. They caught me and my brother trying to raid their food cache. Marcus distracted them so I could get away. I went through a broken window. That's how I cut myself. Your brother, Lívia began tentatively. Gone, Anna said flatly. I went back the next day, found his body. She stopped, unable or unwilling to continue. I buried him the best I could. The car fell silent, the only sound the steady hum of the engine. The girl couldn't be more than 14, Lívia realized, yet she spoke of horrors and losses that would break most adults. This was childhood in the new world, grief and survival, bound together so tightly they became indistinguishable. I'm going to clean this again and put on a fresh bandage, Lívia said, reaching for her medical kit. It should have stitches, but that will have to wait until we can stop somewhere safer. As she worked on Anna's arm, Rafael consulted the map again. If we follow this highway, we should reach the foothills by nightfall. We'll need to find somewhere secure to spend the night. Anna sat up straighter, wincing as Lívia applied antiseptic to the wound. I know these roads. My family had a cabin up here before. We used to come every summer. A cabin might be good shelter, Rafael said, glancing at her in the rearview mirror. Is it far? About an hour from here if we're where I think we are. Up a side road, away from the highway. Private, hidden. She paused. If it's still there. Worth checking, Rafael decided. If it's secure, we could rest there, continue to the Haven in the morning. Lívia finished bandaging Anna's arm and helped her up onto the back seat properly. The girl was thin, too thin, and Lívia made a mental note to make sure she ate something soon. How long have you been on your own? Lívia asked, passing Anna a water bottle from her pack. Anna took a small, careful sip before answering. 6 months, give or take. My parents, they got sick early on. Dad first, then Mum. Her voice was matter-of-fact, as if reciting a story that had happened to someone else. Marcus and I stayed at home as long as we could. When the food ran out, we started moving, looking for other survivors, someplace safe. And you never found it? Rafael asked. Anna shook her head. Found plenty of people. Most wanted to take what we had or worse. She pulled her knees up to her chest, making herself smaller. Marcus was good at keeping us away from trouble, until he wasn't. Livia's heart ached for the girl. 6 months alone in this brutal world, hunted by both the infected and predatory survivors, watching her family die one by one. It was a wonder she could still speak, still function at all. "You're not alone anymore," Livia said, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. "We'll get to this haven together." Anna met her gaze, something like hope flickering briefly in her eyes before caution reasserted itself. "If it exists, it exists," Rafael said firmly, as if willing it to be true. "Jonas believed in it. That's good enough for me." They drove on as the landscape grew increasingly rural, farmhouses and fields giving way to denser forest as they began to climb into the foothills. The road narrowed, winding its way through stands of pine and oak. In another time, it would have been beautiful. Even now, with the shadow of danger ever present, there was something calming about the trees, the silence broken only by the car's engine. "Turn here," Anna said suddenly, pointing to a nearly hidden dirt road branching off from the highway. "This is it. The cabin's about 2 miles up." Rafael slowed the car, peering down the overgrown track. "You're sure?" "I spent every summer of my life on this road," Anna replied. "I'm sure." He nodded and turned onto the rough path, the station wagon bouncing over ruts and potholes. They drove slowly, Rafael navigating around fallen branches and the occasional boulder. The forest closed in around them, branches scraping against the car's sides. "Stop!" Anna called suddenly. "There's a gate ahead. It might still be locked." Rafael brought the car to a halt. About 50 yards ahead, a metal gate stretched across the road, partially obscured by vegetation. "I'll check it," he said, reaching for the rifle. "You two stay here." "Wait," Anna said. "There's a key. My dad always kept a spare hidden in a fake rock by the gatepost. It might still be there." Rafael considered this. "I'll look for it, but stay alert. If anything happens, drive away. Don't wait for me." Lívia moved to the driver's seat as Rafael exited the car, rifle at the ready. They watched as he approached the gate cautiously, scanning the surrounding forest for any sign of danger. Inna leaned forward between the front seats. "The rock is on the right side of the gate, under a small pine tree. It looks like real stone, but it's hollow." They watched as Rafael located the tree, crouched down, and began searching. After a moment, he stood, holding up something small and metallic. The key. A small smile touched Anna's lips. The first they'd seen. He found it. Rafael unlocked the gate and pushed it open, then returned to the car. "So far, so good," he said as he slid back into the driver's seat. "Let's see if this cabin of yours is still standing." They continued up the winding dirt road, the forest growing denser. Finally, the trees opened up into a small clearing, and there it stood, a modest log cabin with a covered porch, weathered but intact. "It's still here," Anna whispered, a mixture of disbelief and relief in her voice. Rafael parked the car close to the cabin's entrance and turned off the engine. The sudden silence was profound. No distant sirens, no gunfire, none of the ambient sounds of a dying civilization. Just the whisper of wind through pine needles and the occasional bird call. "We should check inside before bringing in our supplies," Rafael said, reaching for the rifle. "There's another key," Anna volunteered, "under the big flower pot on the porch, unless someone's taken it." "Let's find out," Rafael replied, opening his door. "But first, let's make sure we're alone out here." The three of them approached the cabin cautiously, Rafael in the lead with the rifle ready, Lívia behind him with Anna at her side. The clearing was silent, except for the crunch of their footsteps on the gravel path leading to the porch. No signs of recent human presence, no footprints, no discarded items, no smoke from the chimney. "Wait here," Rafael instructed when they reached the bottom of the porch steps. He ascended slowly, testing each step for creaks or weakness. The wooden porch seemed solid despite months of neglect. A large ceramic pot sat near the door, once home to flowers now long dead. Rafael tilted it carefully, finding a small metal key taped to the underside, just as Anna had described. "Got it," he called softly. With the key in hand, he approached the cabin's front door, listening for any sound from within. Hearing nothing, he inserted the key into the lock and turned it slowly. The mechanism clicked, and the door swung open with a gentle push. The interior was dark, the windows shuttered. Rafael withdrew a small flashlight from his pocket and swept the beam across the main room, a combined living and dining area with a kitchenette along one wall. Dust motes danced in the flashlight's beam, but otherwise the space appeared undisturbed. "Stay here," he told Lívia and Anna, then entered to check the rest of the cabin. The search didn't take long. Beyond the main room was a short hallway leading to 2 small bedrooms and a bathroom. No hidden intruders, no signs of recent occupation. The cabin had been left untouched since its owners, Anna's family, had abandoned it. "All clear," Rafael announced, returning to the front door. "Looks like no one's been here since before." Anna stepped inside, her expression a complex mixture of emotions as she took in the familiar space. Lívia followed, closing the door behind them. "We should secure the windows and doors," Rafael said, already moving to check the locks on the shutters. "Then bring in our supplies from the car." While Rafael secured the perimeter, Lívia explored the kitchen area. The cupboards held a few canned goods and dry staples: beans, rice, soup, coffee. Not much, but more than they'd had that morning. The sink produced no water when she tried the tap, but a large container in the corner held emergency water. "Generators out back," Anna said, noticing Lívia's exploration. "Probably doesn't work anymore, but there's a wood stove for heat and cooking." She pointed to a cast-iron stove in the corner of the main room. "This place is perfect," Lívia said, genuine gratitude in her voice. "Safe, hidden with supplies. Your family chose well." A shadow crossed Anna's face. "Dad always said it would be our refuge if things went bad. He meant like economic collapse or something. Not this." She gestured vaguely, encompassing the broken world beyond the cabin walls. "But he was right," Lívia pointed out gently. "It is a refuge." Anna nodded, moving to a shelf where framed photos stood gathering dust. She picked one up, a family of 4, smiling on this very porch, the summer sun bright around them. A mother, father, teenage boy, and a younger Anna, maybe 11 or 12, her hair longer then, her smile carefree. Lívia left her to her memories and went to help Rafael bring in their supplies from the car. Together, they unloaded their backpacks, the remaining water bottles, the rifle and ammunition, and a few tools Jonas had kept in the station wagon. "We should hide the car," Rafael said as they finished. "Cover it with branches. If anyone passes by on the main road, we don't want them seeing tire tracks leading up here." Lívia agreed, and they spent the next hour concealing the vehicle under a canopy of pine branches and leaves. By the time they finished, the station wagon was nearly invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. Inside, they found Anna had been busy. She'd cleared dust from the main table, set out some of their food supplies, and even found a few candles which now burned softly in the center of the table. The wood stove had been lit, a small fire crackling behind its iron grate, warming the cabin's main room. "My dad taught me," she explained when she saw their surprised expressions. "Said I should always know how to make fire. Matches were in the same place they always were." She gestured to a drawer in the kitchen. They ate a simple meal of canned beans heated on the stove, supplemented with stale crackers found in the pantry. Despite its simplicity, it was the most civilized meal any of them had enjoyed in months, sitting at a proper table, in a secure shelter, with no immediate danger pressing at the doors. As darkness fell outside, they secured the cabin for the night. The shutters were closed and barred, the door locked and reinforced with a chair wedged under the handle. Rafael insisted on taking the first watch, positioning himself near the front window, where a small gap in the shutters provided a view of the clearing. "You both should get some rest," he said. "I'll wake you in a few hours, Lívia, to take over." Anna disappeared into one of the bedrooms, emerging moments later with blankets and pillows. "There are enough for everyone," she said, distributing them before retreating to what had once been her family's bedroom. Lívia arranged her blankets on the couch, close to the wood stove's radiating warmth. Despite the relative comfort, sleep seemed impossible. Her mind raced with the day's events, the escape from the crows, Jonas's sacrifice, finding Anna. So much had happened in such a short time. "You should sleep," Rafael said quietly from his post by the window. "Tomorrow will be another long day." "I know," she replied. "It's just hard to shut off my thoughts." He nodded, understanding. "Try. I'll keep watch." Eventually, exhaustion overcame her racing mind, and Lívia drifted into uneasy sleep. Her dreams were chaotic, infected chasing her through hospital corridors, Jonas calling for help she couldn't provide, Anna's family photos coming to life and then burning to ash. She woke with a start, disoriented in the unfamiliar darkness. The fire in the stove had died down to embers, casting a faint red glow across the room. Rafael was no longer by the window. Instead, Anna sat there, knees pulled up to her chest, staring out into the night. "Where's Rafael?" Lívia asked, her voice rough with sleep. "Checking the perimeter," Anna replied without turning. "He heard something outside, told me to keep watch while he investigated." Lívia sat up fully, instantly alert. How long ago? Maybe 10 minutes. That was too long. Rafael wouldn't have left them alone for that length of time unless something was wrong. Lívia reached for her shoes, pulling them on quickly. "Stay here," she instructed Anna. "Keep the door locked behind me. Don't open it unless you hear my voice or Rafael's." Anna turned from the window, fear visible in her eyes even in the dim light. "You shouldn't go out there. I have to find Rafael," Lívia insisted, picking up the only weapon available, a heavy iron poker from beside the stove. "Lock the door." Before Anna could protest further, Lívia slipped outside into the cool night air. The clearing was bathed in pale moonlight, the trees surrounding it creating a wall of impenetrable shadow. No sign of Rafael near the cabin or the hidden car. "Rafael!" she called softly, not daring to raise her voice above a whisper. No response. A twig snapped in the forest to her right. Lívia froze, gripping the poker tightly. Another sound followed, a rustling of underbrush, too deliberate for wind, too heavy for small wildlife. She backed toward the cabin slowly, eyes fixed on the tree line where the sounds had originated. A dark figure emerged from the shadows, too tall and broad to be Rafael. Lívia raised the poker defensively as the figure stepped into the moonlight. It was a man she'd never seen before. Tall, muscular, with a wild beard and clothing that looked military in origin. He held a hunting rifle pointed directly at her chest. "Don't move," he commanded, his voice a low growl. "Where are the others?" Lívia's blood ran cold. "What others? I'm alone." The man's laugh was without humor. "3 sets of footprints leading to this cabin say otherwise." He took another step forward. "Your friend with the rifle is already secured. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." "What do you want?" Lívia demanded, trying to keep her voice steady despite her racing heart. "What everyone wants," the man replied. "To survive. Now, lower that poker and call the girl out. We know she's in there." A chill ran through Lívia that had nothing to do with the night air. How did they know about Anna? Had they been tracking them since the gas station? Or worse, had they been watching the cabin all along, waiting for someone to return? "There's no one else," Lívia insisted, though she knew the lie was futile. The man sighed as if disappointed by her resistance. "Have it your way." He raised his free hand and gave a sharp whistle. From the darkness of the forest, more figures emerged. 3, 4, 5 of them, all armed, all converging on the small cabin. Crows. They'd found them. Lívia stood frozen, the iron poker suddenly feeling absurdly inadequate against the armed men surrounding the cabin. The leader, the bearded man who'd first emerged from the trees, kept his rifle trained on her while the others moved into position, encircling the small building. "Last chance," he said, his voice calm but edged with menace. "Call the girl out, and maybe we all walk away from this." "What do you want with her?" Lívia demanded, buying time, desperately hoping Rafael had somehow evaded capture and might still come to their aid. The man's eyes narrowed. "That's not your concern. The girl has something that belongs to us. We're just here to reclaim it." Before Lívia could respond, the cabin door burst open behind her. She turned to see Anna standing in the doorway, a kitchen knife clutched in her small hand. "Anna, no!" Lívia shouted. "Stay inside." "It's too late," Anna said, her voice surprisingly steady. "They found us. They always find us." The leader's attention shifted to the girl, something like recognition flashing in his eyes. Well, the little thief returns." Anna's knuckles whitened around the knife handle. "I'm not a thief. You took everything from us first. We were just trying to survive." "Your brother said the same thing," the man replied coldly. "Right before—" "Don't you dare talk about him!" Anna's voice cracked with rage and grief. "You murdered him!" Lívia moved slowly toward Anna, trying to position herself between the girl and the armed men. "Whatever happened before, it's over now. We're just passing through. We'll leave your territory, never come back." The leader laughed. "Territory? You think this is about territory?" He shook his head. "This is about justice. Eye for an eye. She and her brother killed 2 of my men. Blood demands blood." Horror washed over Lívia as she realized the full situation. These weren't random crows they'd encountered by bad luck. These were the same ones Anna and her brother had clashed with, the ones who'd killed the boy and were now hunting his sister to complete their vengeance. "She's just a child," Lívia protested. "Children grow into adults who hold grudges," the leader replied matter-of-factly. "Better to solve problems permanently." One of his men stepped forward, gesturing with his rifle. "Boss, we should check inside. The other one might be in there." "Rafael's not here," Anna said quickly. Too quickly. The leader smiled, a predatory expression that didn't reach his eyes. "Search the cabin," he ordered. 2 of his men moved toward the door, forcing Lívia and Anna to step aside. "What have you done with Rafael?" Lívia asked, dread settling in her stomach. "Your friend tried to be a hero," the leader said dismissively. "He's cooling his heels with Decker and Vince." He nodded toward the forest. "He'll live, assuming you both cooperate." The men emerged from the cabin moments later. "Clear," one reported. "Just the women." The leader nodded, seeming satisfied. "All right then. You," he pointed at Lívia, "drop that poker. And you," he shifted his aim to Anna, "put down the knife. We're all going for a little walk." "Where?" Lívia demanded, though she reluctantly lowered her weapon. "Back to camp. The commander will decide what to do with you." Anna's face had gone pale at the mention of the commander. "No," she whispered. "Not him." The leader grinned, noticing her reaction. "Oh yes, little girl. The commander remembers you very well. He's been looking forward to finishing what your brother interrupted." Lívia's mind raced, searching for options, for some way out of this impossible situation. There were too many of them, too well armed. Even if Rafael was alive somewhere in the forest, he was clearly incapacitated, unable to help. "Put these on," the leader ordered, as one of his men tossed zip ties at their feet. "Hands in front." "Please." Lívia tried one last appeal. "She's injured. She needs medical attention. I'm a nurse. I can help your people if you need—" "Save it," the leader cut her off. "The commander makes the decisions about new recruits. If you're useful, maybe you live. The girl, though," he shrugged. "That debt's already been decided." Anna had gone completely still, her face a mask of resignation and despair. Slowly, she placed the knife on the ground and picked up one of the zip ties, securing it around her own wrists with the practiced movement of someone who'd been bound before. Lívia followed suit, her heart sinking as the plastic pulled tight around her wrists. Whatever fragile security they'd found in the cabin had been an illusion. The world outside remained as brutal and unforgiving as ever. "Move out," the leader ordered. "Single file. Any heroics, and we shoot the nurse first." "Understood, girl?" Anna nodded mutely, her earlier defiance replaced by a chilling compliance. Lívia recognized it as the response of someone who'd learned that resistance only made things worse. They were marched into the forest, away from the cabin and the road that had led them there. The moon provided just enough light to avoid the worst obstacles, but the going was still treacherous. Uneven ground, exposed roots, low-hanging branches that scraped and clawed at them as they passed. After about 20 minutes of walking, they came to another clearing, this one occupied by several vehicles, rugged trucks and SUVs modified with extra lighting and reinforced exteriors. A large campfire burned in the center, illuminating a dozen or more figures moving about the makeshift base. Sitting on the ground near one of the trucks, hands bound behind him and a nasty gash bleeding above his right eye, was Rafael. His expression transformed from dull pain to alarm when he saw Lívia and Anna being led into the camp. "Lívia! Anna!" he called, struggling against his restraints until one of the guards kicked him hard in the ribs, doubling him over in pain. "Quiet!" the guard growled. The leader of the group that had captured them approached a figure standing by the fire, a tall man whose features were obscured by shadow. They conversed in low tones, the leader gesturing occasionally toward the prisoners. Finally, the figure by the fire turned, stepping into the light. The commander was younger than Lívia had expected, perhaps in his 30s, with close-cropped hair and a face that might once have been handsome before a jagged scar twisted the left side of his mouth into a permanent sneer. He wore what appeared to be a modified military uniform, though any insignia or identifying markers had been removed. He approached slowly, studying each of them in turn. His gaze lingered longest on Anna, who stared at the ground, refusing to meet his eyes. "So," he said finally, his voice surprisingly soft and cultured, "the little mouse returns to the trap." He crouched down to Anna's eye level. "Where's the drive, girl?" Anna remained silent, her body trembling slightly, but her face set in stubborn refusal. The commander sighed, standing upright again. "Still protecting it, even after what it cost your brother? Admirable, but foolish." He turned to Lívia. "Perhaps you can persuade your young friend to be more cooperative." "Do you know what she's hiding?" Lívia shook her head, genuinely confused. "I don't know what you're talking about. We just met her yesterday." "Is that so?" The commander raised an eyebrow, looking between them skeptically. "Found her where exactly?" "She was hiding in our car," Lívia answered truthfully, seeing no advantage in lying about this. "We didn't know she was there until we were miles away from the gas station." "The gas station," the commander repeated, a slow smile spreading across his face, "where my men encountered two strangers working on a vehicle with that old mechanic. Interesting coincidence." It wasn't a coincidence, Lívia realized. They had been tracked, just as she'd feared. The crows at the gas station and these men were one and the same group. "Jonas," the commander continued, "was quite stubborn about revealing the girl's whereabouts. Loyal to the end." He turned to one of his men. "Show them what happens to those who interfere with our business." One of the guards approached, carrying something wrapped in a bloody cloth. With a flourish, he unwrapped it and held it high for all to see. It was a human head, Jonas's head, his eyes still open in a final expression of defiance. Anna let out a small, choked sound beside her. Lívia felt bile rise in her throat but forced herself to remain standing, to show no weakness before these monsters. "Barbaric!" Rafael spat from his position on the ground. "You're no better than the infected." The commander turned to him, studying him with clinical detachment. "On the contrary, the infected are mindless, driven by biological imperative. We are the future, those strong enough, ruthless enough to rebuild civilization on our terms." He gestured around the camp. "This is just the beginning. Soon we'll have settlements, farms, factories, a new order rising from the ashes of the old. Gus built on murder and torture," Lívia said, unable to contain her disgust. "Built on strength," the commander corrected. "The weak perish, the strong survive. That's nature's law, and we're simply its enforcers." He turned back to Anna. "Now, for the last time, where is the drive?" Anna finally looked up, meeting his gaze with unexpected steel in her eyes. "I'll never tell you. Kill me like you killed my brother. I don't care anymore." The commander studied her for a long moment, then smiled, a cold, calculating expression. "Oh, I don't think killing you would be productive. Not yet." He turned to his men. "Bring the woman and the man to my tent. Keep the girl here, under guard. Let's see if her new friend's suffering loosens her tongue." "Wait!" Lívia cried as rough hands grabbed her arms. "Whatever she has, whatever you want, we know nothing about it. Torturing us won't help you." The commander paused, considering. "Perhaps not, but it might help her remember where she's hidden it." He nodded to his men. "Proceed." As they were dragged toward a large tent at the edge of the clearing, Lívia caught one last glimpse of Anna, small, vulnerable, yet somehow still defiant, her eyes now locked on the commander with an expression of pure hatred. Whatever secret the girl was keeping, Lívia realized, it was important enough to die for. Important enough for her brother and Jonas to die for. And now it seemed important enough for her and Rafael to suffer for as well. The question was, could any secret be worth such a terrible price? The inside of the commander's tent was surprisingly civilized. A folding desk covered with maps and papers, a proper chair, even a small bookshelf stocked with well-worn volumes. A battery-powered lantern cast harsh white light across the space, creating deep shadows in the corners. Lívia and Rafael were forced to kneel on the ground, their bound hands making balance difficult. 2 guards stood behind them, while the commander seated himself casually at the desk, examining them with detached interest. "I've found," he began conversationally, as if they were guests rather than prisoners, "that most people have a fundamental misunderstanding of pain. They think of it as a simple stimulus, something to be endured or avoided. But pain is actually a sophisticated language. It speaks to our deepest instincts, bypassing reason and morality." He opened a drawer in the desk, removing a wicked-looking hunting knife. "The trick is learning to interpret what it's saying." "What do you want?" Rafael demanded, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. The commander smiled. "Direct. I appreciate that." He stood, knife in hand, and approached them. "What I want is simple. The drive that the girl and her brother stole from us. A small device, easily hidden, but tremendously valuable." "What's on it?" Lívia asked, trying to keep him talking, to delay whatever he planned to do with that knife. "The future," he replied cryptically. "Specifically, detailed technical schematics for a hydroelectric generator system designed to function with minimal resources, perfect for rebuilding infrastructure in our new world." He gestured vaguely with the knife. "The research facility where we found it had been developing sustainable technology for remote military installations, quite forward-thinking, as it turned out." Rafael's expression shifted slightly. Recognition, perhaps, or realization. "And you need these plans because you don't have engineers who understand how to build such systems from scratch." The commander inclined his head. "Precisely. Most of the technical specialists either died in the initial outbreak or were too weak to survive what came after. Brains without brawn, you might say." He turned the knife, letting light glint off its polished surface. "Which leaves us with a resource gap that this drive would help fill." "Why would Anna and her brother take it?" Lívia asked, genuinely puzzled. "What use would children have for technical schematics?" "They didn't take it for themselves," the commander explained, his tone suggesting he was speaking to a particularly slow child. "They took it to trade. There are communities forming, groups of survivors with walls, agriculture, some semblance of the old civilization. Such communities would value technical knowledge highly, would trade food, medicine, shelter for it." "The haven," Rafael said quietly. The commander's eyes sharpened with interest. "You know of it, then?" "We've heard rumors," Rafael replied cautiously. "Nothing concrete." "It exists," the commander confirmed. "A research station in the mountains, repurposed as a settlement. They've got power, basic manufacturing capabilities, even some medical facilities. And they're recruiting, selectively, people with useful skills." His gaze fixed on Lívia. "A nurse would be welcomed there, as would a former police officer with combat experience." Lívia understood the implication immediately. "You think Anna was trying to reach the haven to trade the drive for admission?" "I don't think it. I know it." The commander returned to his desk, setting down the knife. "Her brother confirmed as much before he died. They believed the haven would welcome them if they brought something valuable enough. They were right, of course, but they underestimated how valuable that drive is to us." Rafael shifted slightly, testing the strength of his bindings. "If you know where the haven is, why not just attack it? Take what you want?" The commander laughed, a genuine sound that seemed out of place in the tense atmosphere. "Because they're dug in, well-armed, and have the high ground. We're warriors, not suicidal." He sobered quickly. No, direct assault would be costly. We've been looking for leverage, opportunities. The drive would have been one such opportunity. And now you think Anna has hidden it somewhere, Lívia concluded. The commander nodded. Smart girl. Even after we caught her brother, she managed to slip away. Took the drive with her. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk. She's had it for months. Moving, hiding, staying one step ahead of my scouts, until Jonas found her. His expression darkened. The old fool should have recognized the bandage on her arm. Should have known she was the one we were hunting. He knew, Rafael said quietly. He just didn't care. Jonas helped people, that's who he was. And now he's dead, the commander replied flatly. That's who he is. A commotion outside the tent interrupted them, shouting, the sound of a struggle. The commander frowned, gesturing for one of the guards to investigate. The man had barely reached the tent flap when it burst open, revealing one of the crows dragging a struggling Anna. Sir, the man reported breathlessly. She tried to escape. Knocked out Jenks and nearly made it to the trees. The commander's expression shifted from annoyance to amusement. Still fighting, little mouse. Impressive. He motioned for the guard to bring her forward. But futile. Anna was pushed roughly to her knees beside Lívia and Rafael. A fresh bruise was forming on her cheek, and her lip was split and bleeding. Despite this, her eyes remained defiant, burning with a hatred that seemed too intense for her young face. I've been explaining to your friends why the drive is so important, the commander told her conversationally. How it could help us build a better future. How it could save lives. You don't care about saving lives, Anna spat, blood from her lips spattering the ground. You want power, control, that's all. The commander shrugged, unperturbed by her accusation. Power is necessary for survival in this world. You've seen what happens to the powerless. Decay, he picked up the knife again, turning it slowly in his hands. Now, I've been patient, more patient than many would be in my position, but my patience has limits. He moved with sudden speed, grabbing Rafael by the hair and pressing the knife against his throat. Tell me where the drive is hidden, girl, or I start cutting pieces off your friend here. No, Lívia cried, straining against her restraints. Anna's defiance faltered, fear replacing anger in her eyes. I can't. Ooh, can't or won't. The commander pressed the blade harder, drawing a thin line of blood along Rafael's neck. Think carefully about your answer. Rafael remained still, his eyes fixed on Anna. Don't tell him anything, he said, his voice steady despite the blade at his throat. Whatever's on that drive, it's not worth your life. Heroic, the commander remarked dryly, but misguided. He shifted the knife slightly, positioning it near Rafael's eye. Let's start small, shall we? An eye seems appropriate. You can watch your protector lose his sight, piece by piece. Wait, Anna cried, her composure finally breaking. I'll tell you, just don't hurt him. The commander paused, the knife still hovering near Rafael's face. I'm listening. Anna swallowed hard, looking between Rafael and Lívia, then back to the commander. It's hidden at the cabin, under a loose floorboard in my room, behind the dresser. For a long moment, the commander studied her face, searching for signs of deception. Finally, he withdrew the knife and released Rafael, who slumped forward, a thin trickle of blood running down his neck. Check it, the commander ordered one of the guards. Take 2 men. If she's lying... He let the threat hang unfinished in the air. The guard nodded and hurried from the tent. The commander returned to his desk, knife still in hand, watching them with clinical detachment. Minutes stretched into what felt like an eternity, the silence broken only by their breathing and the distant sounds of the camp outside. Finally, the radio on the commander's desk crackled to life. Sir, we've searched the location. There's nothing here. No loose floorboard, no drive. The commander's expression hardened. Without a word, he rose and moved toward Anna, grabbing her by the throat and lifting her partially off the ground. You think this is a game? That I won't kill you all right now? Let her go, Lívia shouted, struggling against her bonds. She's just a child. She's a liar, the commander hissed, tightening his grip on Anna's throat. The girl's face was turning red, her bound hands clawing uselessly at his arm. And liars have no place in the new world. Check the station wagon, Rafael said suddenly. The one we took from the gas station. Check under the spare tire in the trunk. The commander paused, his grip on Anna loosening slightly. What? She hid it in the car, Rafael continued, his eyes locked with the commander's. That's why she was hiding there when we found her. She knew Jonas was compromised, needed a new escape plan. Anna's expression registered shock, then betrayal as she stared at Rafael. The commander studied him, then slowly released Anna, who collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. If this is another trick, the commander began. It's not, Rafael insisted. Check the car, the spare tire compartment, it's there. The commander considered this, then spoke into his radio. Davis, have someone check the station wagon, the spare tire compartment. Report back immediately. Another tense wait followed. Lívia looked at Rafael questioningly, but his expression revealed nothing. Anna had recovered her breath and was now staring at the ground, her face a mask of resignation. The radio crackled again. Sir, we found it. Small black case, looks like an external hard drive, matches the description. A slow smile spread across the commander's face. Well done, he addressed Rafael. How did you know? I didn't, Rafael admitted. But it made sense. The car was her escape route. Jonas was helping her get to the haven. Where else would she hide something so important? The commander laughed, genuinely amused. Clever, very clever. He returned to his desk, setting down the knife. Bring the drive here, he ordered into the radio. Minutes later, a guard entered with a small black case, handing it reverently to the commander. He opened it carefully, revealing a ruggedized external hard drive, military grade by the look of it. His expression as he examined it was almost tender, like a parent gazing at a newborn. At last, he murmured. Now we can proceed with the next phase. What happens to us? Lívia asked, dreading the answer, but needing to know. The commander looked up, seeming almost surprised that they were still there. That depends. He studied them thoughtfully. The girl has caused us considerable trouble. Justice demands a response to that. His gaze shifted to Lívia and Rafael. You two, however, have proven yourselves resourceful, adaptive, qualities we value. If you're suggesting we join you, Rafael said coldly, the answer is no. Not everyone has the luxury of moral absolutes anymore, the commander replied. Survival requires compromise. You'll learn that in time. He turned to one of the guards. Take them to the holding pen. I'll decide their fate in the morning. As they were hauled to their feet, Anna suddenly lunged forward despite her bound hands, throwing herself toward the desk. No! She screamed, her voice raw with desperation. The guard caught her easily, yanking her back. But in that brief moment, her eyes had locked with Lívia's, and a silent message had passed between them, a desperate plea, a final warning. They were marched out of the tent and across the camp to a crude pen made of chain-link fencing topped with barbed wire. Inside were a few other prisoners, haggard-looking men and women with the vacant expressions of those who had long since given up hope. The gate was unlocked, and the three of them were shoved inside, their zip ties cut before the gate was secured again. "Enjoy your last night," one of the guards taunted. "Morning comes early around here." Left alone, Lívia immediately moved to check Rafael's neck wound. It was superficial, already clotting, but in this world even minor injuries could become life-threatening without proper care. "I'm fine," he assured her, wincing slightly as she probed the area. "Anna needs attention more than I do." The girl had retreated to the furthest corner of the pen, knees drawn up to her chest, eyes fixed on some middle distance. Lívia approached her cautiously, aware of the other prisoners watching with dull curiosity. "Anna," she said gently, crouching beside her, "let me check your injuries." "Why bother?" the girl replied, her voice flat. "We're all dead anyway." "We don't know that," Lívia insisted, though her own hope was fading rapidly. "There's still a chance." Anna turned to look at her, eyes suddenly intense. "Why did you tell them?" she demanded of Rafael, who had joined them. "Why did you give them the drive?" Rafael glanced around, making sure the guards were out of earshot. "Because we needed time," he replied quietly. "Time to think, to plan, and because it bought us the night." "It won't matter," Anna said bitterly. "Once the commander has what he wants, he'll kill us all. Me for stealing it, you for helping me." What's so important about that drive?" Lívia asked. "Why risk everything for it?" Anna was silent for a long moment, then sighed. It's not just schematics for a generator. That's only part of it. She leaned closer, lowering her voice to barely above a whisper. There's a weapons cache, coordinates, access codes, enough firepower to take the haven by force. The commander has been searching for it for months. Raphael's expression darkened. And now we've handed it to him. No, Anna said, a strange glint in her eye. You didn't. What do you mean? Lívia asked, confused. The drive you gave him, it's corrupted, wiped clean. I did it myself right after... She swallowed hard. Right after they killed Marcus. I kept it as bait, knowing they'd keep hunting me. The real information... She tapped her temple. It's up here, memorized. Coordinates, codes, everything important. Raphael stared at her in disbelief. You memorized military technical specifications and coordinates. A small, grim smile touched Anna's lips. I told you I was good with computers. Photographic memory helps too. The smile faded. But it won't matter now. The commander will discover the drive is empty by morning. Then he'll know I tricked him again. He'll be furious. Lívia realized, a chill running through her. More than furious, Anna confirmed. That's why we have to get out of here. Tonight. Raphael surveyed the pen critically. Chain link fence, barbed wire top, guards posted at regular intervals. Not impossible, but challenging. He lowered his voice further. If we could create a distraction... No need, came a whisper from behind them. They turned to find one of the other prisoners, an older man with a grey beard and hollow cheeks, had moved closer. There's another way. Who are you? Raphael asked suspiciously. Name's Cooper, the man replied. Been here 3 weeks. They raid our settlement, took everything, killed anyone who resisted, been waiting for a chance to get out. What other way? Lívia pressed. Cooper gestured subtly toward the ground. Drainage pipe runs under the pen. Old storm drain from before. They built this cage on top of it, didn't realize. Grates loose, been working on it for days. Why haven't you used it yet? Raphael asked, still skeptical. Needed a distraction, Cooper explained. Guards are too vigilant. But tonight, he nodded toward the center of the camp, where the crows had started some kind of celebration, passing bottles and growing louder by the minute. They're celebrating their prize, getting drunk. Timing's right. The 4 of them huddled closer, speaking in hushed tones, as Cooper explained his plan. The drainage pipe was narrow but navigable, running beyond the perimeter of the camp and emerging in a dry creek bed about 100 yards away. One person at a time could slip through while the others provided cover, making it appear that all prisoners were still present. You go first, Cooper told Anna. Your smallest can move fastest. Then the woman, then him. He nodded at Raphael. I'll go last. Cover your escape. Why help us? Lívia asked. You don't know us. Cooper's eyes hardened. I know them. Know what they do to people. That's enough reason. As the night deepened and the crows' celebration grew more raucous, they put their plan into action. Cooper and another prisoner he trusted moved the loosened grate, while Raphael and Lívia positioned themselves to block the guards' view. Anna slipped through first, her small frame easily fitting into the drainage pipe. She disappeared into the darkness, moving as silently as a shadow. Lívia went next, the confined space triggering a momentary panic that she forced herself to suppress. The pipe was barely wide enough for her shoulders, forcing her to wriggle forward on her stomach, feeling her way through absolute darkness. The smell was musty, but not foul, suggesting the drain had been dry for some time. She crawled for what felt like an eternity, the pipe seeming to narrow with each foot she progressed. Just as claustrophobia threatened to overwhelm her, she felt a hand grab her wrist. Anna, waiting at the outlet. With the girl's help, Lívia emerged into the open air of the creek bed, the night sky a welcome expanse after the confining tunnel. They moved into the cover of some nearby brush, waiting anxiously for Raphael to follow. Minutes passed with excruciating slowness. Lívia was about to suggest they go back to check when they heard movement in the pipe. Raphael emerged, covered in dirt but unharmed. They waited longer for Cooper, but the older prisoner never appeared. We can't wait, Raphael whispered after 15 tense minutes. If he's been caught, they'll be searching for us soon. With heavy hearts, they left their hiding place, moving quickly but quietly through the forest, away from the crow camp. The distant sounds of celebration continued, suggesting their absence hadn't yet been discovered. "Where do we go now?" Lívia asked as they put distance between themselves and the camp. "They have our car, our supplies, everything." "The haven," Anna said without hesitation. "It's our only chance. 3 days' journey on foot if we push hard." Rafael nodded grimly. "And when the commander discovers the drive is empty, he'll come after us with everything he has." "Then we'd better move fast," Lívia said, taking Anna's hand. "Which way?" Anna pointed north toward the distant mountains barely visible in the moonlight. "That way. Always north." Erdine, as they moved through the night, Lívia couldn't help but think of Jonas, of his sacrifice, of Cooper, who had likely made a similar sacrifice to cover their escape. This broken world demanded so much blood, extracted such a terrible price for even the smallest chance at survival. Yet here they were, still moving, still fighting, 3 strangers thrown together by chance and desperation, now bound by a shared purpose. Ahead lay the haven, a promise of safety, of community, perhaps even of a future worth building. Behind them, the crows and their commander, the embodiment of everything the old world had become in its dying throes: brutality, exploitation, power wielded without conscience. The choice between the 2 visions couldn't have been clearer. Dawn was breaking as they reached the edge of a ridge overlooking a vast valley. In the distance, the mountains loomed, their peaks catching the first golden rays of sunlight. Somewhere in those mountains was the haven, and the information Anna carried in her remarkable memory might be enough to secure them sanctuary there. "We should rest," Rafael suggested, noting Lívia's exhaustion and Anna's increasingly labored breathing. "Just for an hour, then we keep moving." They found shelter in a small hollow beneath a fallen tree, taking turns keeping watch while the others caught brief, fitful sleep. Lívia used the time to properly examine Anna's injuries: the split lip, the bruises, the arm wound that had started bleeding again during their escape. With nothing but water from a nearby stream to clean the wounds, she did what she could, tearing strips from her own shirt to create fresh bandages. "You should leave me behind," Anna said suddenly, as Lívia worked on her arm. "I'm slowing you down, and I'm the one they really want." "Not a chance," Lívia replied firmly. "We stay together." "Why?" Anna asked, genuine confusion in her voice. "You barely know me. I've brought nothing but trouble to you both." Lívia finished securing the bandage before answering. "Because that's what people do. The good ones, anyway. They help each other. They stick together." She smiled gently. Jonas understood that. So do we. Anna looked away, but not before Lívia caught the sheen of tears in her eyes. "I miss him," the girl admitted quietly. "He was kind to me. No one's been kind in a long time." Lívia pulled her into a gentle embrace, feeling the girl's thin shoulders shake with suppressed sobs. "It's okay to cry," she whispered. "It's okay to miss the people we've lost." For a brief moment, Anna allowed herself to be held, to be comforted. Then she pulled away, wiping her eyes with grimy hands, composure reasserting itself. "We should keep moving," she said, her voice steadier now. "The commander won't give up easily." As if summoned by her words, a distant sound reached them, the rumble of engines, still far off but growing closer. Rafael, who had been keeping watch from a higher vantage point, slid down to join them. "Vehicles on the road below," he reported grimly. 3, maybe 4. Moving fast. "The crows," Anna confirmed, fear and determination warring in her expression. "They found the empty drive. They're coming for us." Lívia helped her to her feet. "Then we run, we hide, we do whatever it takes." "And we stay together," Rafael added, looking at each of them in turn. "No matter what happens." Together, the 3 of them slipped deeper into the forest, heading north toward the mountains, toward the haven, toward the faint but persistent promise of a world where survival didn't mean sacrificing humanity. Behind them, smoke rose from the valley as the crows' vehicles spread out, beginning their hunt in earnest. The race was on, a desperate flight toward safety, with the forces of a brutal new order in close pursuit. Blood had already been spilled for the secret Anna carried. More would follow before their journey's end, but for now they were alive, they were together, and against all odds they still had hope. End of Episode 3, Blood and Smoke.